It's starting to look like the US economy is heading towards stagflation, which is actually worse than a recession. What is it going to happen? Let's look at the data. Let's look at the facts. This is Avance News. My name is Josh, and we have Carlos
What's
here
up,
with
everyone?
me. What's up, everyone? We're going to talk about what you guys want to know. What's going to happen with your money, your finances? Can I finally afford a house? Am I going to lose my job?
Should I get a Tesla?
Should I get a Tesla? We're talking about interest rates across the board. So car loans is one of those. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about it because there's been a lot of information coming out with the economy. Mostly bad, not good stuff though. So mostly bad. So let's look into it.
What do you mean if the stock market's going up? What do you mean it's bad?
Hey, 2008, every other recession, the economy looked just right, just good right before recessionary period. And I mean, we always go back to what everyone, all the experts, not all the experts, people don't accept it, is that trillions and trillions of dollars until this day, they just passed another bill, is just being printed and printed and printed and printed out of thin air. And there's obviously repercussions and consequences for all this, free money. And we're finally starting to see the effects of it. So let's look into it. So a lot of people are talking about that the US economy is headed toward a stagflation period. I'm sure you've seen that probably on Twitter, huh? And all over
in the
place.
70s, right? This is when it was like super popular. Or not popular, but this is when they finally
Last
felt
happened.
it for the first time. Yeah.
And the most simple definition is right here. I like Investopedia. They always like to break it easy for you. But so the economy is always going through cycles. And right now, what they're saying is we're potentially going into stagflation, which means it's characterized by slow growth, which that's what's happening. We'll talk about that right now. High unemployment rate, which we're not there yet. It's actually very low. And high inflation, which we have 2 out of the 3. That's 2 out of the 3 checkbox, right? Right now, back in they came out with the report basically that the Q1 of this year in 2024. So their GDP, which stands for the gross domestic product. So basically how the economy is doing. If you see on this
like
chart right here, how's it doing? It's like if you were to look at a business and see their financials, this is the US's financials and like how is the economy doing? This is a good, thing to go back
Indicator.
on. Yeah, good indicator. And for the most part, it was doing good. Q3 of last year was actually very good. It went down a little. And a lot of people, experts, Goldman Sachs, and a lot of other companies so GDP in Q1 was at 1.6%. That it still was growing at 1.6%. But the bad thing about that's half of what everyone thought the number would be. Everyone thought the number was going to be roughly 3.4% in Q1 of this year. So that's half.
And what's interesting about Q3, I think that's a lot of people got excited about having 6 or 7 interest rate cuts. They're like, yay, buy a house now because interest rates are about to drop. Get it now, get a car, get everything. And then, oh, snaps. Now I think they're even saying pause or just another rate hike. I don't see another rate hike, but I do see a longer pause.
I mean, if this number here continues to go down, slowly unemployment starts to creep up and inflation starts to go up, it's a weird place to be in because if they drop rates, it's going to make inflation skyrocket. It'll help with the GDP. So it's a hard, that's why stagflation is hard, going back to this definition, because it's not like a regular recession. It's like traditional things like cutting rates most likely won't affect and won't help. Because think about it. Think about at the end of this year, let's say the economy isn't doing so well, and they're like, all right, we're going to have to cut rates. But then that causes inflation. So it's like, what do you do?
Yeah, and it's so funny because you would think they were experts, And what was it in 2021? They're all like, recession is transitory. Don't worry, guys. We're not going to have a recession. This is just a little bump. Trust me, we're going to be fine. And I don't know, we printed almost 9, right? In the inflation chart. And we're like, whoa, what happened with recession is transitory? And then we were stuck here for
Inflation is transitory.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. Inflation. Yes. Inflation. They're like, we're not going to have it. Don't worry, guys. This printing is not going to affect anything, which, you would think that these experts, either they're playing with us or they really don't know what they're doing, because it's obvious that in the beginning of the month, even Jerome Powell, he kind of came out like excited saying, hey, I think we solved inflation, guys. I think we're good. I don't think we're going to raise any more interest rates anymore. And the market got really excited, and everyone was like, "Yay!" Stocks started going up. People were like, "It always seems like as soon as they're excited about like either inflation's going away or right now that no, we're actually growing. The GDP is growing. Actually, we're going to hit a downturn." And it's really funny because if they're screwing this badly, how is it that me, you, the person listening can even figure out what's going on? It's probably super confusing out there.
Yeah, and this leads to the next slide, which shows, so in the last, 2 or 3 months, what's been happening is that CPI, PPI, and PCE, all like, the easiest way to put it is they calculate how inflation, how the economy, all these different things is
The
going.
cost of
Basically,
goods.
inflation. Yeah, the cost of
Yeah.
goods and everything. And it's been rising now for the last 2 months. The 1970s is the white. This one. This is how it was. That it went up really fast, inflation to 12%. We were like at 8 or 9, and then it went
Mm-hmm.
down really fast because they went hard. They rose interest rates and all that. I mean, a lot of different things happened, but that's what happened right now in the last couple of months. In
Mm-hmm.
2022, they started raising rates like crazy, and then boom, it went down. But then it's starting to creep up again. That's why people compare it to 1970s, because what happened is like, oof, inflation went up even higher than before, and then deflation and all sorts of inflation, deflation, stagflation, all these words thrown out there. But the biggest thing that's here is that we have a weakening economy with a rising inflation, which is not a good combination. And
So
it's
should I continue getting into more credit card debt?
doesn't
Should
matter
I go
what
buy a
how
new
the
car?
economy is. You should never have credit card debt.
No, I
It's a
know.
hard time because it's like a lot of people are asking, what's going to happen with houses, with cars, and all the different stuff. Like, for example, let's check this out. This is commercial real estate. It's been doing pretty bad because a lot of people that buy commercial real estate, they don't buy 30-year fixed rates like a house. When you buy a house and you fix at 2 or 3%, you don't really care how the economy is doing because you got a low rate, unless you really need to buy a house because you just need more space or you need to downsize or you're
Mm-hmm.
moving for jobs. Then yeah, you have to. But if you're good and you're chilling, then you're chilling. But with commercial real estate, they have 7, 10, 15 year, or even sometimes 3 years that they have to pay some of these mortgages, or they restart, they have to refinance. And a lot of these commercial real estate, they have to refinance at these really high rates. That's how they're pushing. They want rates to go down because imagine jumping from a 3% and you're over. Not only is it low interest, but you overpaid for this property. And now imagine refinancing at a super overpaid property, high interest rate. That's causing a lot of foreclosures on commercial real estate. And the craziest thing about the commercial real estate is that California has the highest. They're
Mm-hmm.
the highest. In the last year. And to give you guys a comparison, this is where we were at. 141 back in 2020. This is where we're at right here in 2024. It doesn't sound like a lot. 624 commercial real estate properties foreclosed. Obviously there's less commercial than residential, but
Mm-hmm.
it's grown, what is this, 6x, and then like just here alone, like in a year, it's grown over 100%. Over 100% it's grown in foreclosures. So that's another thing too.
Yeah, and I think those were the people that were kind of hoping for the economy to do better because they want interest rates to drop. But it looks like since interest rates are not going to drop, people are still working from home. Like I drive to downtown LA every once in a while. There's still a lot of, new buildings or old buildings that are like half
Empty.
used or half not, and they're the ones, and it takes time. That's one thing that I've learned the most about these last 4 years that we've been like, oh my god, recession is like this. It takes time, but it only takes one thing, to start falling apart, and it just trickles down.
Yeah, it's like a snowball effect, and it
Yeah.
leads into the other things like, so you said credit cards interest. So this is the interest on federal debt. So Americans have credit cards, they have interest and all that. Our government, our politicians, our lovely politicians, the left, the right, the middle, everything in between, they've managed to, this is just interest payments. This is just the interest. This is not our total 33 trillion, whatever, how much debt we have as a country.
This is on top.
We hit $1 trillion as our
Yeah.
interest payment. That's insane. We've never gotten that high. Even during 2008, the crisis, it was only at 450 billion. You see that here? That was the highest. And that was considered crazy, right? A lot of spending, and you had to bring it down a little. But then, even before
But
COVID, it was already a problem. But then it just,
what I hear all the time with this argument, people always bring up, yeah, but can't they just print money to pay this out?
they can print money, but then what's going to happen is inflation.
Yeah. And I think
Inflation.
that's what, because that's what they did in 2008. You know, we had a crisis, and what happened? They bailed out big banks, big
Yeah.
corporations. And it's almost like we always, I remember in high school, they're like, don't worry, guys, don't worry. But now it's like a hockey stick. And this thing is like not slowing down. Just like you said, I think they just passed a bill, you know? So
Yeah.
they're obviously still
Billions.
acting like we have a great economy and we have a lot of money. It's like a business. If the business is this much, if you personally have this much on credit card debt, and this isn't just like the debt, this is just the interest on the debt. You know, you would foreclose. You know, you would go bankrupt, and that's one thing that a lot of people say is how long can this thing continue? Because you know, is like that's the question. Is like how long can we continue just all right, it's okay. Next generation can take care of it. Next generation can take care of it.
Yeah. And that's why it's hard to say, oh, it's like the 1970s. I mean, the 1970s was all the way down here, so we're in a different world. So you can't really compare. It's different.
What's really sad and funny about inflation is it benefits people who have assets, the very wealthy.
Yeah.
So right now, the very wealthy are thriving. That's a lot of people like,
Extremely.
who's buying these houses? Who's going out and doing this? The very wealthy, or the people, not even just the very wealthy, but the people that have houses, you know, that are locked in at what, three
Boomers.
or yeah, they're locked in at 2 or 3%, you know, or people who have a lot of money in stocks and their 401k, like you said, boomers. That generation is actually benefiting. But me, you generation, or people that are in high school or just graduating, like they're the ones that are trying to go into the workplace, struggling to find a job, struggling. Like you've seen a lot of these trending videos on TikTok of kids in their car. It's always in their car, screaming and yelling, like, I can't pay for my rent, I can't pay for food. And
Hmm.
it's because of this right here. This chart is they keep printing and it just gets worse. Like that's why, like we keep saying, whenever the government says, don't worry, I'm going to send you a check, it's a behind the door tax on your livelihood, on your money, on your finances. And it's just going to get worse and worse. I don't know what's going to happen, you know?
It looks like it little by little things are starting to finally like give away, but it's an election year. All you got to do is print
Yeah.
and put it
Well,
under the rug, basically. But then
can they print
again,
more though?
I don't think they're gonna do anything crazy because if that was a fact, then how come they haven't lowered interest rates? If that's really the fact, I mean, if anything, they might even raise it. They might even
Yeah.
raise interest rates because it's
Well,
the trend
it's also kind of late because they also say like interest rates is a lagging effect.
effect.
You know,
Yeah,
it takes about like 6 to a year, 18 months. So even if they cut interest rates today, the election is less than that. So it
yeah,
won't even affect. Right now, we're feeling the effect of last year's raise on interest rates. Like that's why when they raise interest rates at first, like no one changes their spending habits right away. It takes
no,
a while till it starts going into the system, and you're like right now, like I'm trying to buy a car, but looking at all this
yeah,
information, I'm like, how can I buy a car if we're really going to hit a recession? Like that means, like, is it a smart move to get a car, or is it better to wait because that means that prices are going to drop, interest rates might drop because as soon as we hit a recession, you know they're going to try to stimulate
drop.
the economy, especially like you said,
Yeah,
in an election year.
yeah. And you just brought up a good point about cars. I mean, look at this. Right now, a new car loan rate, 48 months is almost
Yeah.
8%. 48 months. So if you do anything longer than that, which most people do, 60, 72, 84 months, it's going to be
Hmm.
9, 10, 12%. And this is the average. So it's not like people like subprime that are terrible credit. These are just like
The best.
even if you have good credit, you're going to get a really bad rate. So
And
yeah,
it
it's
hasn't been
hard.
like this for like 10 years. That's a, we're not used to it.
More than 10 years since 2008. That's the last time we've had this
Oh yeah,
high
true. 20,
car
almost 20
loans.
years.
Yeah, almost 20
Yeah.
years now. Yeah, so
Uh,
it's a tough time because like, you want to do all those
so
things.
would you suggest someone to get a new car right now? Even if they have a good job, good finances, and paid off debt?
I mean, I guess it just depends case to case because like when me and Vanessa bought a car, a Tesla, we both bought Teslas. Vanessa got like, I don't know, over $15,000 in free money. And at
Hmm.
that time, interest rates were high, but not as high as now. I think we got like a 6.5% or seven
That's
percent
better than
interest.
now.
And but she got like 20K free money. So like that was a situation where like, and if she didn't buy the car then, she wouldn't qualify because her income was gonna go up. And she got all these
Hmm.
grants. So yes, for her it was like, who cares about the interest rates? We will refinance because we're getting $20,000 free money now. Well, we can wait 4, 5 years, which by then, yeah, rates will go down. Um,
Hmm.
and for our situation at that point, it was good. Mine as well. But now, I mean, I don't know, man. It just depends if you're able to get a
I don't
good
know.
rate or
It's
if you're able
pretty
to get a
scary.
really, really good deal. I mean, cars are down big time. Teslas at the peak, the Model 3 were like
They're
60K. Now they're like 40 something thousand.
they're still down, but just think about it. Like when I graduated high school, when I graduated college, you know, that was into 2015. A new car was 25, and that was like a brand new car. Now a
Yeah.
brand new car, you're talking about mid 40s. That's how much it's gone up in the last like couple of years. So it's a big jump. It's like when I talk to kids in high school, I'm like, oh, I got a car, you know, for a couple of thousand. Like, oof, good luck finding that nowadays. Not even a Honda
Yeah.
Civic costs that much.
Yeah. No, ideally it's since the
Yeah.
interest rates are so high, it probably would be good to just wait. 9% on a car loan. It's not a 30-year payment. It's that's a huge difference in the car payment.
Hmm.
You could always refinance, but we just don't know how long this is going to take for the rates to go down.
Yeah, and you would think a lot of people said the housing market is going to crash, and if anything, houses are getting more expensive. So it's so confusing out there what even to do or not to do.
Yeah, I don't have the graph here, but the good thing right now, what's going on with the housing market, is that there has been a big increase in supply. Not yet to 2019 levels, but if you look up the data, you'll see that there was this one stat that I saw from this time last year. There's like I think it was 30 or 40% increase in supply. That's a big increase because there's a lot of people that feeling
Housing
the
or
pressure.
apartments?
No housing, like houses for
Oh,
sale. Yeah, like across the board, not like in one city. Because obviously there's some cities that it's exploded even more than that. I keep seeing a lot of that, like in Florida and stuff, especially with all those Airbnb stuff that's going on, and who knows if that's even going to be a thing in the future. Because then there's places like New York that have completely banned it, so
yeah,
or they made it hard.
yeah. Yeah, but housing is still crazy expensive. It's like in 2020, I'm looking at a tweet right now. In 2020, the medium mortgage payment on a medium price house was 1,400. In 2024, the medium price is 2,800. That's a 92% increase in the last 4 years. So yeah, like you said, there might be more supply, but man, the and this is a medium income. We're living in California. Good luck find that's like my apartment. You know, that's not
Yeah,
even a house. So it's like that's the thing that keeps I don't know. Like they could print money, but what's going to make it worse is housing. Everything else.
yeah,
They're kind of stuck in this weird area where they can't really, like you said, we're in stagflation where they can't really cut or print money because it's bad either way. So it's almost like we have to stay in this weird middle area that nothing moves.
yeah. And there is a bill that actually was introduced by a congressman. I remember it's called the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act, because its goal
Hmm.
is to stop all these big corporations and not
Mm-hmm.
just BlackRock, but like even people that they're they're like people that own multiple properties, 50 properties, 100 properties. Hedge funds own thousands, so they can
Mm-hmm.
stop doing that and make it hard for them for it to be profitable and all these different things. But who knows if that'll ever pass because uh, a lot of these politicians themselves are involved with these hedge funds too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like the bill that they're trying to pass right now with capital gains tax. I'm like, you think Nancy's going to allow that? You think all those people that are trading stocks are going to? It's just like a thing to throw out. It's an election
Political
year,
statement.
so
Yeah.
yeah, it's a way like, look, vote for me. Like you think like you said, you think they're going to pass that bill with housing? Like a lot of these people own a lot of properties, so no,
Yeah,
it's
no,
like
it's gonna be tough.
it's like student loan forgiveness. They're bringing it back up again, which that one I could see because what else can the current president go into a speech or a video or an ad and be like, look, vote for me because of this? You talk to anyone that says houses is still expensive, groceries expensive, my gas is expensive, my kids can't find a job. I think that's something that I keep hearing a lot is my kid graduated from college, can't find a job. So I feel like the one thing that he might do, which we keep saying, but he might cancel student loan. I don't know fully, but a good amount. I think that's like the only last like ammo this current president has.
Yeah, yeah, that's the only thing he would have left. But besides that, I mean, the economy is not doing good. Housing is so expensive. People are just upset, and then all this Israel, Hamas,
War.
Gaza, Palestine, Ukraine, all this stuff is only making it worse. The TikTok ban. I mean, just this is
I,
interesting stat. It has a lot to do with the economy because here's some stats about TikTok, how it contributed to the economy. 224,000 jobs were created or supported because of TikTok. It could be creators, small businesses that blew up on TikTok, etc. And small businesses' use of TikTok as an advertising and marketing platform supported $5.3 billion in taxes. But the crazy thing is that it supported 8.5 billion. TikTok themselves as a company, 8.5 billion to the GDP, 2 billion in taxes, and $59,000 59,000 jobs across the U.S. economy in 2023. So is TikTok ban really about Chinese data and not having our data? No, I mean the CIA, the FBI has our data. So many other companies have our data. I think more than anything, um, actually, I don't know why. I really don't know why. RFK, the guy that's running for president, said he's going to sue. He's going to do a lawsuit
mhm.
against this because it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand why they would do this. There's so many young people that have a job because of this or something. So they're like, well, he's trying to win the votes, obviously too. But
Out of all the problems in the world, it's like this last year. When was the last time you saw them arguing or debating about real world issues? Is like
never.
the things that we face currently. And that's the part, like, as voters, as people, that we see, like, why are they even there in office? When was the last time they actually were doing something that actually benefited me? It's been a while. And like the only thing I see this is like since there's so much chaos in the world, and China is kind of like in favor with Russia. So it's kind of like a move on them, because I think they passed a bill to give funding to Ukraine, give funding to Israel, and give funding to Taiwan,
Yeah,
because of the tensions that's going on there. So remember,
couple billion.
Facebook is not allowed on China. Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it is not allowed on China. Instagram's not allowed on China. All these American social apps are not allowed in China. So it's not out of the ordinary, that
Hmm.
this is happening. It's already happening in China. But you would think like a country like US, you would want, competition and the freedom of what America is. You're allowed to do whatever you want. And, if you want to use TikTok, go for it. It's like you have in the back how TikTok
Oh,
helped you a lot. There's a lot of
definitely.
people that TikTok is a great platform for them that help them, create a platform. So I don't know. They definitely have 9 months, and they said they're gonna, not only him, but a lot of companies are gonna fight, in the court system. So who knows how
Hmm.
long it's gonna happen? And again, there might be a new administration because both, like I said, RFK and Trump are against this. So the only
Yeah.
one in favor is Biden. So this could also be turned around in a couple of months.
Yeah, I really don't get why Biden was so adamant about signing. I mean, I know like the biggest reason is because the money. This ban on TikTok was attached to all the money going to Israel, to Ukraine, to freaking what Taiwan, which I don't know why they would put it all together. I mean, I know why because they
It's
knew it
easier
would
to
get
pass.
approved. Yeah, and it got
Yeah.
approved fast. Senate, House, President, just like nothing. And I mean, I know there's a lot of people that are gonna fight it, but like it could potentially really get banned because TikTok can never sell it. This explained why they can't sell it. Well, ByteDance, because ByteDance has an algorithm that ByteDance itself, they make a lot of money, and TikTok is just a small part of it. So they're willing to sell TikTok without, like told me before, without the algorithm. They can't give up
Hmm.
the algorithm because it's part of ByteDance. So it's like someone can buy TikTok and start the algorithm. All I mean, a company like Meta, but I think they're
Yeah.
willing to sell it to more like I saw an article like a company more like like Walmart or something
Walmart.
that's not a tech company. Yeah,
Yeah. But it's like selling a car without an engine. It's like what
yeah,
makes TikTok is that algo. Like you go on
yeah,
Instagram and it's pretty good, but something about that TikTok algorithm, it really like gets you hooked and it's different. Like it's a different
yeah,
platform. You feel it. But
yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
crazy.
I don't know. It could
Yeah,
it
and
could
then
happen.
yeah, it could happen, and just a lot of stuff just going on in the economy. Honestly, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's another stat if you guys want to see what talking about how the economy is not in a good position. But credit card defaults, there's a company called Discover Financial. They're reporting the highest spike in defaults since the GFC, the Great Financial Crisis, which was back in 2008, right? That's what we know it, or housing crisis, whatever you want to call it. But they haven't had anything like this since then. It's past, pre-pandemic highs. It's just so many people have so much credit card debt. They are used to living that stimulus payment, unemployment, extreme benefits lifestyle that slowly but surely inflation is gonna like eat up all their,
I
disposable
think that's
income.
the
And now they
one.
gotta use their credit cards, and that's what's going on. People
Yeah.
don't want to accept that they're broke. I personally know people that they just like no, they don't want to accept it. They just even though
No.
they're broke, they literally are living paycheck to paycheck. They don't want to accept it. And something's gotta give.
Yeah, yeah. It's like when you're out of shape, you know? You're not gonna change your diet until you're like you go to the doctor and he tells you, look, you have to cut your diet. And I think I saw a tweet a post on Twitter that said about 10% right now of credit card borrowers are exceeding an account of over $5,000 and one quarter of all account balances are over 2,000 for the first time ever. So yeah, it's going pretty high. And I talk to friends like you don't even have to listen to us or look at these charts. Just ask your friends and be like, how's business? Is it slowing? How's like if they work in retail to stores, are people still shopping or is it less? You can feel it when you just talk to your friends and family members that things are kind of slowing. And if you're still not willing, it's like you said, it's not even a poor thing. It's like me, I'm cutting back because I want to be prepared if we do go through recession, that I'm not like in a tight area where let's say I don't have a credit card debt, but let's say I lose my job and then I have no savings. That would suck.
Mhm.
So it's just like it's not even about like you're being poor, but it's like defensive driver. You have to be prepared because you just never know what's gonna happen.
And if people followed what we teach here at the nonprofit about having an emergency fund,
Simple.
honestly, we would go through a recession and we'd be just fine. Nothing would happen.
Yeah.
No stock
Yeah.
market crash,
You
no
would
real estate
benefit.
crash, nothing would happen really. It'd be all recession, cool. But like if there's
Yeah.
something like a recession that would occur, of course stuff is going to come down because people are not ready. They lose their house. There's going to be a lot of repos. People that cars. I mean, house. I think the biggest thing with real estate agents that I get really upset is they think they're the experts. They think buy a house, fall in love with the neighborhood of the house, marry marry the house, but date the rate. Like in a couple months, rates will go down. Rates are gonna go down. Don't worry, it's gonna go down. I talked to a teacher yesterday. We did a workshop, and she was talking about that.
A
And people
teacher?
were a teacher. We were doing a workshop, and her and her husband bought a house, and she was like, every single time loan officers, real estate agents would always tell us, don't worry about the interest rate. It'll go down. It'll go down. And this was last year. It not only has it not gone down, but it's gone up and it's stayed up. And it's like, imagine buying a house that you barely could afford then. And you're like, well, with the idea that in a year it'll go down to 2%. Like, even if the economy
Two
crashes,
percent.
well, that's what people are
That's wishful
thinking.
thinking.
I know, two and a half, whatever, you know. But it's like people are buying houses they cannot afford. And another thing that she told me, that she had a friend that bought a house that super high interest rate, you know, I don't know, 8, 7%, super ugly house in a great neighborhood, but super no ugly house, ugly neighborhood, high payments, high interest rate. I'm like, how many people are like that where they're
A
like,
lot,
we need
a
it, we need
lot.
to buy a house, and yeah, I've met with people that talk, and they're in the industry, that mortgage officers, and you know what? I've met someone that's more, recently talked to two loan officers slash real estate agents, two different perspectives. One of them told me, we work with a lot of people helping buy multifamilies, so that's duplexes, triplexes, and you know what? This is the first time in our business where we're actually telling people no. We're telling them, you probably shouldn't sell that house, or you should probably should. Mostly people that are coming to us are trying to sell. We're actually telling them not to, because it's not a good time. Or people trying to
No,
buy. We're like, there's been a lot of deals. Not everyone. They're not, when people come in, they're not saying no, 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 no. But they see some deals and they were
good
like,
amount.
it's the first time ever where they're like, you probably shouldn't buy that one, or you probably shouldn't sell this or that. And then there's another one that's a newbie, loan officer. I had a
Hmm.
conversation and he was talking more about like, it's always a great time to buy. Like buying a house, I mean, by renting, you're throwing away your money. I mean, like the first time ever, buying a house is 50% more expensive than renting. Like, I don't know if it's really throwing away your money. Because when you buy that house and you're paying 50% over, 90% of that payment is going to the bank, not to the principal. So it's like you're throwing away your money too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, it's like, of course, the real estate agent is going to tell you that's what they do for a living. It's like a car
Yeah.
dealership. He's not going to, car salesman, he's not going to tell you, oh, this car sucks. Do not buy it right now. Wait. No, like that's their livelihood. That's how they make money. It's like, it's obvious. Like, listen to them, but also understand this is their business. Of course, they're always going to want to sell. Who wouldn't? But I could just imagine, because I know I have friends, my wife Diana has friends that recently bought in houses that it's extremely above what they're used to, like $7,000, $8,000 a month, or in an area that is super far away, or it's just not their dream house. And they all said it's because everyone tells me that within a year they're going to drop interest rates. And what if they only drop it to, let's say right now it's seven something, 7.1, I think it went up to. It was 7 point something like that. What if it only drops to six? That doesn't make life changing difference. So it's like, be careful. Sometimes it's better to just relax. Don't get emotional and try to buy a house because everyone's doing it. If it doesn't make sense, if it's going to stress you out, relax. You can do it later. You can save up more money. You can do other stuff. You don't have to get a house. I know it's a dream, but also you have to understand it's better more your health, because a lot of people don't think about the stress that comes with maintenance the house, home insurance, and everything else that comes with it. It's not just that mortgage, like you said, 90% of it is just going to the bank. So and if the house drops in value, you're losing. You're
You
underwater.
can't, if the house drops in value, and most people are putting 5% down or less. People don't realize this. I can just refinance in the future. But if there's a little crash, even if it's a 10% correction, you won't be able to refinance. How are you going to refinance if your house is not worth less than what you owe? And that's the most
Yeah.
stupidest thing I've heard from real estate agents. You could just refinance, but if we have a correction, you won't be able to. If you're going to put a huge down payment, if it's a good, like you're only spending, like, let's say 30% or less of your income is going to this, then you're good. Net
Mm-hmm.
income, not gross. Then
Mm-hmm.
you're chilling because you're able to, figure out your expenses, still have savings. But no, there's too many families that are spending almost 50% of their net income into a house, really high interest rate, and they say they can refinance, but if the value goes down and they only put a 5% down payment, you're not going to be able to refinance, which all goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning with the economy and everything. I think it's an important conversation we have with everyone, that at the end of the day, it's hard to determine what's going to happen in the economy. But my opinion is, I think interest rates are going to stay high until there's a recession, a real recession where we see unemployment go up. Then they're going to have to lower rates. For now, I think it's going to stay unless there's a real recession where there's unemployment, basically. I think that's the only thing. at
I
this point.
think I think come August, come September, we're gonna see something crazy in the market. I don't think nothing's gonna happen now because we're all like waiting and anticipating. But I think let summer pass, you know, I think something's gonna happen. I just don't see this continuing and holding much longer. I would be shocked if we're still here in another year, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. And with a different administration, if Trump wins, I mean, he said he's gonna fire Jerome Powell. You know, Jerome Powell, his time is coming up soon. Actually, I think it ends at the end
He's
of
the
this
one
year.
that put him in office. That's funny.
I know. So it's like that's crazy if you put someone that's gonna cut rates real quick, even though we're not supposed to, because the economy is still like kind of holding on. That's only gonna make it worse, you know. So
Yeah, we'll see what
I don't know.
happens, but
We'll see what happens, but I think this is
just
a good
save your
conversation.
money, pay off your debt, and don't let lifestyle inflation catch up to you.
Yes, yes, that's 100%. You know, just as long as you
It's
live
really
within your
simple.
means. Yeah, live within your means. Recession, no recession, you'll be just fine. And if anything, it'll only mean opportunities. You don't want to be
Hmm.
holding the bag like them. You know, people that
Hmm.
during the great
Yeah, and
2008
remember, we're
recession.
saying this because our parents went through that, and we've seen how that affected them. Everyone told them this is the best time to buy. The best time to buy was 5 years ago, and they bought at literally the top of the market, and they struggled for years to recover.
Yeah, for years, lost. You know that not just them, many people lost that house. You know that vacation house that they got or whatever rental property. And yeah, it's super important that you got to know yourself. But yeah, the most important thing here from this is the economy looks like it's heading towards something. We don't know what it
Yeah.
is. It could be stagflation, recession, whatever it is. It's not looking that great, but you can control what happens to your finances by being a better manager of your finances, by saving, investing, and doing all the stuff that the rich people do. If they're investing, it's for a reason. They started investing because they knew assets gone up. But yeah, super
Hmm.
important. Hopefully, this was informative for everyone here. We'll try to be more consistent with the updates. That way, you guys know what's going on with the economy and the world itself. And we'll finish off here. I think it's a great conversation. You guys can always ask us anything if you have any questions, comments. Reach out to us, and we'll be sure to answer. So, thank you so much.